So in today's class, we'll be discussing about basics of photo editing, mainly photo editing with the help of Photoshop and Lightroom. So it's just a class of half an hour. So within this class, it is very difficult to teach Photoshop or basics of photo editing. So in this class, what we will concentrate on is that what are the things that we should learn, and if we learn all those things, then what are the best ways we can apply, or what are the things we can do with the things that we have learned, and where from we can learn all those Photoshop techniques. Now, to begin with, it is very clear is that nowadays, if we use internet, we can learn most of the things. YouTube is the best place to learn. And if we want to learn Photoshop, then there is one person whom I follow rigorously, and I believe that no one can teach you Photoshop better than this person. So this person is this Piximperfect. You can just type in the Google or in the YouTube, you can search for this Piximperfect. You can learn Photoshop technique from this person who is having excellent knowledge about all those things. It is very easy to learn. But yes, these videos sometimes may be a bit lengthy. But if you want to learn it, there is no shortcut, and the rigorous way only you have to follow. Whatever things I have learned on Photoshop, majority of the things I have learned from him only. So I suggest you to learn each and everything that we are discussing today from this particular channel. You can search in Google, or you can search in the YouTube. You can learn from other places also. I recommend this. So after this, we will be directly jumping to our subject, like what are the things to learn and what are the things we can do with those things, right? So let us jump into Photoshop. So in the beginning itself, I suggested if we want your photos to be edited or post-processed, then it is better to shoot in RAW format rather than JPEG, because JPEG is a processed one and the amount of information or digital information that is stored is limited. But when we are shooting in RAW format, so it is uncompressed and we are having more digital information which can be edited to get the desired result that we want. So this is the raw file. It is generated by Nikon camera. So this particular file we will be opening in Photoshop. So the interface that we are getting here will be similar if you open this particular file using Lightroom. Here I am opening this particular file with the help of Camera Raw. But as I told you, if you open the same thing using Lightroom, you get similar interface. So this is a particular photo, which is obviously you can see it is very much underexposed. So we'll start with the basic editing, or what is the minimum thing that we can do. In Lightroom or Camera Raw, this is the first screen that we get, and we should be very thorough about this particular screen. We will concentrate, or we'll start from here. This is exposure. So we can see that it is underexposed. So this exposure correction can be made with the help of this particular slider. We can change the exposure like this. And as I have told you earlier that while we will be doing post-processing, the most important thing that we should learn is histogram. So we discussed this in earlier classes. Today we'll be seeing the application. See, this is the histogram. We can see that when the photo was underexposed, so most of the things are there towards the shadows areas, right? There is nothing much in the highlight area, and these are the called clipping mark. Clipping means what? It shows us, see, whatever blues areas are there, mean in those areas details are lost because of underexposure, right? If I tick on it, so that is gone now. So this helps us to detect if certain areas are underexposed or completely lost information or not. Similarly, this is the clipping for highlight area. If we increase the exposure, see, we get red. Red means these are the areas which are losing information because of overexposure. So these two clippings we can use for our own reference to detect underexposed, to detect loss of information due to underexposure or overexposure. Fine, these two will be removing. Just we learn that we can correct our exposure by the help of this particular slider, right? So let us say up to this point we will be doing. Now there is a contrast. This particular slider, we can control the contrast like this, depending upon the need of the photo that we are processing, or depending upon our requirement, we can change the contrast like this. Now there is highlight, there is shadow, there is white, and there is black. So what are these things? These things also we have discussed. Just for our understanding, we'll see this. So this was the curve that we discussed in the class of histogram. So the extreme point where everything is overexposed or we have lost the information, this is called as white, right? Here we have lost the information because of underexposure. So this point is called as black. Here where most of the things are visible, properly lit, this is called as highlights. This particular point, it is called as highlights, whereas this is called as shadow, and this particular point of the curve, it is known as mid tones, right? So white, this is black, this is highlight, this is shadow area, and this is mid tone, right? So we'll be understanding this in a short while. For the time being, so highlights we can edit from by the help of this particular slider. So this particular slider is affecting what are the points? It is basically affecting these areas of the histogram curve, right? So similarly, these shadows, you can see when I am moving this slider highlights, what are the areas that are getting affected, right? So that way we can correct it. Shadows areas also we can correct with the help of this. Similarly, whites and black we can correct. Now, there is a clarity field. What it does is that it works on mid-tone and it enhances it to get a clear picture of what this particular slider is doing. We can see it. If we can increase it, we can see that it is working on the mid-tones and it is enhancing those mid-tones areas, but there is a drawback. What is that? It is adding lots of noise also. If we go it to the extreme end, we can see that there are lots of noise which this particular slider is adding. So we have to be very careful about how much this slider we are going to slide. And I suggest that please don't use the slider much until there is specific requirement. I don't use it much. I just leave it to the default value. Right. There are two important sliders here, vibrance and saturation, which is just to enhance the color. There is a major difference between these two. In saturation means it intensifies everything, and whatever colors are there, if you slide it more, then colors will overlap, which does not give us a pleasing experience. So what I suggest is that never use this saturation much. You can see that if we increase it, see the skin is becoming yellow, which does not look good. It does not give us pleasing visual experience. So I just discourage people to use this. If at all, if you want to increase or enhance the color, vibrance is the best button that we can use it, right? See, it gives much more pleasing experience, then the vibrance field, then the saturation field, right? So as a thumb rule, what we can say is that if there are human beings in the frame, then we can go maximum up to 25 to 30, not more than that. We should never go beyond that until there is something that you are designing, like maybe with nature, maybe some flexi or something that you are designing. In this case, you may go beyond that, but if there are human beings, you should not go beyond 25 or 30. Or saturation, I suggest you can use maximum of 5 to 10 when human beings are there. In case human beings are not there and you are doing certain type of post processing, so at that time only you can go beyond that. But once human beings are there in the frame, you should be very careful with the slider saturation, and I discourage it not to use unnecessarily. So these are the basic things which can do wonder for us in terms of color correction or exposure correction, right? And some more important thing that we learned initially was the white balance. Let us say if I increase the exposure like this, or let us say if I increase the contrast, see this yellowish effect is coming, right? And there was something called white balance that we read, studied, and understood. And all those white balance are available here: auto, daylight, cloudy, shade, tungsten. So if specific effect that we want, or if there is specific effect which we want to remove from our image, so with the slider only these things we can do. We can see this yellow will go if we just make the image a bit cooler. So when I am sliding it toward the left hand side, the image is becoming cooler. But when I am sliding it toward the right hand side, the image is becoming warmer. So depending upon the correction that we want, or depending upon the content that we are having, we can use these slides, right? And tint is nothing but we discussed this in the when we were discussing about the theory of color. So let us say one particular color is there, and if we are adding black to it, so what we are getting? We are getting a particular shade of the color. If we are adding gray to it, so what we are getting? We are getting a particular tone of the color. And if we are adding white to the color, then what we are getting? We are getting a particular tint of the color. So it is defining what particular tint that we want, right? So these are the things which are very essential, I feel, for correction of the exposure and color correction, which are available either in Lightroom or in image camera raw. We can use it to get the proper exposure and to get the proper color correction for our photograph. Next, we will see this particular tone correction with the help of this particular curve. So two curves are there, parametric and point. So point we will be discussing today. So with the help of this, what we can change, right? We can change our highlight, or maybe shadows, or maybe midtones if we want. So depending upon our need, we can change it. Let us say we want, this is by default. Let us say we want a darker, we want some strong contrast image, and we don't have much time to fiddle with all these sliders. Then there is a shortcut method that we can do with the help of this strong contrast. But depending upon the flexibility you want, you may like to use all these sliders, or you may enter into the Photoshop interface where you get greater flexibility, and there you can correct all those things. But yes, certain situation where you don't want to spend much time, you can go ahead with these presets: linear, medium contrast, and strong contrast. So, and the third important option that we are getting here is that removal of noise and sharpening of the image. Because this particular photo is taken with the ISO value of 800, it is having lots of noise, which we can see. If we zoom in the image, we can see that there are lots of noise, right? Lots of noise we can see. So this noise can be corrected with the help of these sliders. We'll concentrate on the noise reduction for the time being. So How to remove these things? There is a luminance slider. Just hold the Alt key in the keyboard, right? And then try to slide these luminance buttons to the right hand side. I am doing it, right? So there will come one point where this noise will just go. You can just stop at that particular point, right? And again, just hold the Alt key and move it towards left, and just gradually you just move towards the right hand side, and there will be one point where you will be just starting to see those noise. There you can stop it. And all these things I am doing by zooming that image at 100%. You can do it something like 200% or 400%. So that way it gives you a much more control or the actual thing that it is working on the pixels. This luminance contrast you can go maximum by 2 or 3%, depending upon whatever the effect that you are getting on that particular image. These things, color and color details, it is better to keep it with its default value, right? So we can see it, how the corrections are made to this particular image. Now see how that image was there earlier with noise, and now we are having a very less amount of noise. So in this way we can correct the exposure of the image, we can do the color correction, we can remove noise from the image, and we can do the sharpening also. Sharpening, either we can do it from here, or what I suggest is that you enter into the Photoshop interface and there also you can do. So same thing you can follow. You can just zoom into 100%, then you can see the actual pixels. Then hold the Option key, Alt key, then just start to slide this button towards the right hand side, and you can see how these details are getting sharper. So again, there will be one point where you can start to see lots of noise. You can just stop at that particular point. You should stop at that particular point where you can start to see those sharpening effect to start, right? And radius field, you should keep it to as minimum as possible, as small as possible, right? Where you can see the details, like what are the areas it is getting served. You can see it, and at that particular point only you can stop it. So similar things you can follow for details also, like how much sharpening you want. You can move it towards the right, and you can move it towards the left, right? So you can just see what is the best thing it for you, and there you can stop it. Mask whatever white area is there, so there this sharpening is getting applied, and whatever black areas are there, this sharpening is not getting applied. So how I am doing it? By pressing the Alt key. So maybe somewhere around 20-25 will do for you. So now the image is much more sharper. We can just zoom out the image and we can see. So see how the image has changed now. So this is what we have done, and we will just open this particular image with the Photoshop interface now. So these are the things that we have done with the help of Lightroom or Camera Raw. So there are other things which we should learn in Photoshop, or what are the things we will be doing here, we'll be learning now. So this is the default interface that we get when we open a particular image with the help of Photoshop. Now, first we will be discussing about what are the things that we should learn in this Photoshop. In the left hand side, there is a pen, right? And there are certain toolbox. So these are the most important things. And to begin with, we should learn about all these toolbox, right? Yeah, so what are the things we should be learning? All this left hand side pen. Then right hand side, you can see this particular tab or pan, it is called as layer. So we should learn in detail about all this layer, like what is the meaning of layer, how to create one, how to delete one, what is the concept of mask, all these things we should learn. So once we learned about layer, then we should learn about adjustment that we can apply on those layer, where we get this adjustment layer here. So if we click here, not here, next screen, if we click it, these are the adjustment layer, like solid care, gradient, brightness, contrast. So these are the things that we should learn next. Next, we'll discuss about, see, we'll delete this first. So this is the layer that we are learning. We are adding some adjustment layer. Let us say, for the example of curves layers, we are adjusting. In the curve layer, there is a hand symbol. If we click on it, it gives us one excellent tool. What it gives is that, let us say, this is a portion where if you feel that it is overexposed, and if you want to make it underexposed, what you can do, you can just click on it and drag it down. See what is happening, it is decreasing the exposure. Similarly, let us say this is the area, and if you are feeling that this is dark, and if you want to make it brighter, what you can do, you can just click on it and move it towards up. See what it is doing, it is increasing the brightness. So in this way, it's an excellent tool that is there in the curves adjustment layer. This hand tool also you should learn. So it gives you better flexibility to control specific areas of the image, right? So layer we should learn, layer mask, blending mode, adjustment layers we have learned, hand tools that we should learn in the curves adjustment layer. Then what we should learn is that in this tool, in the left hand side, there are tools. So in that selection tool is there. So for if you anything, if you want to select it, if you remove it from the background, so the best thing that we should learn is the quick selection tool. So what it gives is that if it gives you the option to select or deselect something. So let us say we'll zoom it a bit, and if we want to select it with the help of quick selection tool, we can do it very quickly, right? So this, in this way, we can select something. Now after we have selected it, one more thing that we should learn, that is, it is called as refine edge. How to get the interface? Just right click on it and click on refine edge, right? So you can control what are the areas that you have selected, how those areas are selected, right? So this is the thing that we should learn. And there is something called smart radius we should learn. There is a radius slider, that we must understand what is the meaning of this slider, and there is this adjust edge. So these are the things we should learn, basic thing that we should learn for selection: quick selection, refine edge, edge detection, smart radius, this radius slider, and adjust edge. So these are the things you can learn it from the channel that I have suggested you, because this is just a class of 30 minutes. So here it is very difficult for me to teach you all those things, right? So next thing that we should learn about is the filters. So here, if you see, filter options are there. So certain filters will be very important for us. First one is, if we go to other, then there is something called high pass filter. You learn it, where it will be useful. It will be very useful if you want to make your image sharper. Like if you want to apply certain kind of sharpening to your image, so high pass filter will be very useful. Similarly, there is something called blur, and there is something called Gaussian blur. So if you use it, this is also will be very helpful. When it will be very helpful, let us say you have taken some portrait photography, and if you want to make the background blur, so that type of situation, it will be very helpful. So this thing also we should learn. And one more thing that we can learn initially is the noise. There is something called add noise, there is something called reduce noise. So these two things will be very important for us, and we should learn these things from filter screen. So what else we can learn from is that there is something called image. There is two things are there. There is image size, there is canvas size. So let us say you are having some image of low resolution, and if you want to upscale it, then this image size will be helpful for us, right? So with this particular screen, we can do it. Similarly, there is something called canvas size, which will be helpful for us if we want to frame particular image. So let us say if we want to add some black border or white border, so that type of situation, canvas size will be helpful for us. So these are the things we should learn. And the next important thing that we should learn from Photoshop is the brush. So where we'll be getting it? We'll be getting it from here, brush tool, right? Let us say if we want to paint something with the help of this brush, so that we can do. And this controlling will be very helpful. See, in the keyboard, these options are there, square brackets are there. So with the help of the right side square bracket, the size of the brush will increase. So this is very helpful. And with the help of the open square bracket or left square bracket, left hand side, whatever button is there, so with that, this brush size will decrease. So these are the important things we should learn from Photoshop initial phases. And once we have mastered these things, we can just try to learn other important things or things which are harder in nature for learning or for applying also. So left hand side, all those menu bar we should learn. We should learn about layers. We should learn about opacity. We should learn about blending mode. We should learn about adjustment layers, right? Like levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, all these things we should learn. So once we are thorough with all those things, we should learn about selection methods. In that, we can try to learn about different selection methods, but quick selection will be initially helpful for us. In quick selection, we should learn about refine edge, smart radius, edge detection, all these things. We should learn about filter. In that filter, there is something called high pass filter, and there is something called blur, so Gaussian blur, and there is something called noise, add noise, remove noise. There is something called image, so image size and canvas size, right? And there is brush, and we should be able to control the size of the brush. So these are the things initially we can learn from the Photoshop. Where from we can learn? We can learn from the YouTube channel that I have suggested. In case if you are having any difficulties, you can just call me, or you can revert me back for any help or assistance that you want. Then I will be doing it for you. So this was a basic class on basics of photography, not basics of photography, basics of photo editing, right? So from your side, if you are having any doubt, I will be taking questions. Anirvan. Yeah, if you want to ask, you have some specific queries, right? You have sent me one PSD file also. I will just come back on that.
Yeah, I have sent you a landscape where you have told me to increase the blueness of the sky, and I have selected it, and there were some small trees that were difficult to select. And the similar situation I faced when I select the background image of a girl who has a very sharp hair here and there. Those hairs are very difficult to select, right? To apply a bokeh effect, I need to select the background and apply the Gaussian blur. So how do I select those minute objects?
Yes, so two questions that you have asked today. So I have explained them. So I will be explaining them one more time. Just see, I will be sharing my screen once here. We can see this image, right? So I will be deleting this layer. So let us say, to solve your particular problem, we can solve it in two different ways. First thing is that, let us say I have to make the correction of the exposure, like sky is too bright, I want to make it underexposed. So if I should able to make it underexposed, then automatically it will be looking a bit bluer, right? So what way I can do is that, just zoom it to 25%, then I will be adding one adjustment layer with curves adjustment. So here one button is there, this hand button is there, na? So I just click on it. So let us say for my image, this is the white shirt is there. So it is too white. I just want to make it a bit underexposed. And I don't want to go to the pain of selecting it. Like one approach, what I can do is that I can select the entire shirt and then I can try to make it underexposed. But it is very difficult to select the shirt. So what I am doing is that I am taking, with the help of this curves adjustment layer, this particular hand button I am selecting, I am just clicking on it. I want to make it underexposed. So towards downwards, I am doing it. See, all the areas will be remain intact. Only the areas which are overexposed of this particular shirt will be underexposed. So what you can do, you can adjust the curves adjustment layer. You can just click on the sky, which is underexposed, and just drag it towards the down. So sky will become a bit underexposed. So gradually it will become bluer, right? So this is the easiest option we can do. What is the hard option? What is the difficult option that we can do? Let us say some girl is standing with some hair. So for that, we have to go with the difficult technique, that is the selection. So in that case,
it become more difficult when the background is complex.
Yes, when the background is complex. So I will just try to explain in what way we can do is that this particular technique is clear now, Nirvan.
Yeah, right.
This hand thing is clear now. What we'll be doing, let us say, we'll be doing it with quick selection tool. We just zoom it to 100%. You just make a call, a phone call to me, right? We'll be discussing all these things in detail there. In this class, what we will be doing, let us say, with quick selection, I am selecting something. Let us say some hair also I have selected here. It is not there. This image is not suitable for that type of demonstration. Still, let us say I am doing it here. Then I just right click on it and click on refine edge. Here. Now here this view option is there. I am just selecting it on black. Right. So let us say these areas, let us say some hair will give me some trouble to select it. So what I should do is that edge detection is there. Now just click on smart radius. Now this radius, what is the meaning of this radius? These intersections are there, right? This black and here. And there are some areas like green. So just increase this radius a bit. And there is something called adjust edge. You just click on it a bit, feather and contrast. You just play with these buttons, right? Even whatever hairs will be there, thin hairs, you can select accurately.
Selected.
It will be properly selected, right? In case some problem will be there, like it will be called its halo effect. So that also we can remove with the help of this layers and layer masking. That we'll be discussing in detail over phone. But I'm suggesting is that if you just select on
using brush, making a layer mask and using brush to the periphery.
Yes, correct.
I do it.
Yes. But edge detection, with the help of this edge detection, smart radius, and this feather option is there, na? You can select all those hairs very accurately. You don't have much issue on that.
Yeah, I know. Actually, what happens, I have a YouTube channel for my music, and I do various duets with many girls, and they send me photo, and I have to make thumbnail where
Yes.
I have their faces in many complex background. There I face the issue.
Yes, we can discuss that over phone and it can be solved. It's not so easy. It's not like that I will click on something and it will be solved. No, but yes,
It takes time.
it takes time. Yes, it takes time.
I will send you my YouTube link.
Okay,
Just
fine, fine.
watch it. There are my songs, and
Yes.
you can watch the thumbnails. That will be interesting for you.
Yeah, fine. I
I
will do that.
make those thumbnails.
Fine, Anirban.
Okay.
Then anything other than all these things, or any
Not
problem
now.
related to Photoshop, we'll be discussing over phone. You just call me
Not
back once. We'll be discussing.
Whenever
Right?
I face any problem to make thumbnail, or even during my PhD study, I have to do many Photoshop works regarding my results. That time I learned Photoshop in detail.
Yeah, fine. Just let me know, because I do fashion photography. So the selecting of this hair thing is very common to me, right? So I can help you on this particular regard. Just let me know. We'll be discussing on this.
I have your number saved. Whenever I face any problem regarding Photoshop, I will text you.
Yeah, fine, fine. Just let me know. We'll be discussing.
Okay.
Fine then, Anirban. Good night.
Good night.